Hi, my name is Mark. So, if you're anything like teenage-year-old me, you're probably like, oh, music theory, why do I need that? All of those weird and scary names that actually translate to some weird scales or some weird concepts that you're probably never going to use. But then as you grow older and you try to think about these things in a different light, you start thinking to yourself, okay, maybe if I actually wanted to use these, how would I? How can I use these? What purpose do they actually serve? Let's take scales, for instance. Everybody seems to love these weird chromatic sounding scales. Just an example, everybody talks about the melodic minor scale. And in the marvelous words of Paul Gilbert, for a melodic scale, it doesn't really sound that melodic. So what am I supposed to do with this bunch of notes? What purpose does this serve? And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Specifically about scales like the melodic minor scale and the harmonic minor scale, that on the outside seem like scary things, but actually, they're really not. But before we get into it, I just want to say, please subscribe to my channel. You're probably aware that YouTube's been acting a little bit weird lately. Even if you subscribe to the channel, those channel's videos may really not show up in our subscription box. And even if you ring the little notification bell thingy below, you'll still really not be notified of that channel's content. So if you want to stay tuned to my content or the content of your favorite creators, you really should subscribe and turn on all the notifications. And since that may or may not work, I highly suggest you follow me on social media. Not only do I post some exclusive stuff there, like improvised solos and jamming over backing tracks, and generally whatever I'm up to at the moment, but I always post there about my videos. Links for the usual suspects like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, even though I don't really post much on Twitter, will be below, but in general, at Mark English Guitar. And since you're down there, please consider leaving a like, and share this video on social media. I'd highly appreciate it. And yeah, I guess now we can get straight into it. So as I mentioned before, we're going to talk about the melodic minor scale. But before we do, I just want to quickly mention the regular major scale and the harmonic minor scale. If we take our regular C major scale, there's a reason why we use that scale. In the C major scale, there are a couple of important chords. By the way, if you're not really sure about the chords of the C major scale, you can check out one of my other videos like this one. But one that's really important in the key of C, it's the G, because the G is the 5 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in the case of the C major scale, the G chord is a G major chord. And when you go from G major to C major, you can hear a really cool resolution. It's kind of like everything falls into place. The same thing wouldn't really happen if we did D major to C. It really doesn't resolve, but the G does. If we look at the notes of each chord, when it comes to the G major chord, we have G, D, well in this case we have the G again, but then we have a B. And if we look at the notes of the C chord, we have a C, a G, again in this case a C again, and an E. Effectively, when we go from G to C, all the notes of the G chord, for instance like that B note right here, I'm going from G to C, is resolving a half step up. And again in our G major chord, our D note is resolving a whole step up to E. And that's just generic resolution stuff. But if I play you a G major chord going to a C chord while playing the C major scale, I'll start the C major scale in G. This 5 to 1 resolution is really important. Everything seems to fall into place, and that's in our C major scale. What happens when we go to our minor scale? Let's take the C minor scale for instance. If we look at the 5 chord of C minor, in this case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's still a G, but in this case we're going to have a G minor. And as you'll probably hear, when you go from G minor to C minor, it resolves, but it's not really as strong of a resolution. For instance, if we look again at our G major to C major, it really stays resolved when we go to that C. But in the case of G minor to C minor, for some reason going back to G minor sounds more resolved than going from G to C. So way back in the day in the classical era, somebody suggested G minor to C minor doesn't really resolve very well, but G major to C minor does. What about we make the G minor into a G major so that it still resolves well to the C minor? And if you look at G minor versus G major, the only difference really that we're sharpening this B flat to a B. So if we take our C minor scale and we sharpen the B flat to a B, we get our commonly known harmonic minor scale. You'll probably know this sound from the real classical stuff or the neoclassical stuff like Yngwie Malmsteen stuff, and even in a bunch of folk songs. And it also kind of has this kind of Arabic, kind of Egyptian sound, I guess. And having that natural seventh kind of changes up our chords a little bit, but that's ideal for a whole other day. But forgetting about all of that, just think about the resolution. If I do, again, that's a little example where I play the scale and I play the chords, you'll hear the resolution much more accentuated. So our harmonic minor scale gives us our minor sound, but with a 5-to-1 resolution, where the 5 chord is major. And now we will get to the good stuff, which is probably why you clicked on this video the first time, which is, okay, that's cool, but what's the deal with the melodic minor scale? Well, to put it bluntly, the melodic minor scale is pretty much our major scale, but where we take our third note, our E, and we flatten it to an E flat, effectively turning our major scale into a minor scale. But it's not our regular minor scale. I'd guess you'd call it a melodic minor scale because since the major scale is so melodic, we would have the same level of melodic possibilities, but instead of being in a major tonality, we're in a minor tonality. And the ones of you who are probably paying close attention to this will say, okay, but if we already had our 5-to-1 resolution in our harmonic minor scale, which was the cool part about the major scale, what's the purpose of having a C major scale turned minor? Well, again, if we take a look at our C major scale, we mentioned that we had a 5-to-1 resolution. But there's also another resolution, which is the 4-to-1 resolution. And you can hear it kind of resolves. But it's not really as strong of a resolution as going from G major to C major. But going from F to C is still a resolution. Again, if you take a look at the notes of our F major chord, we have F, C, F again, but then we have A right here. So if you remember that C had C, G, C, and E, when we're going from F to C, we're pretty much resolving the notes of F. For instance, our A is resolving down to a G, the F is resolving a half step down to E. So pretty much when we're going from F major to C major, we're pretty much doing this. Again, let me give you an example. Let's go from F major to C major. I'll just play the C major scale going down this time. There's a resolution of going from F to C. It's a downwards resolution. As you can hear, it's not as strong of a resolution compared to going from G major to C major, but it's still a resolution. But here's the deal. When we are in our C minor scale, our F chord, our 4 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's an F minor chord. And even though you can kind of hear a resolution, the F major to C major, it's much more pretty sounding, if you know what I mean. And even if we take the harmonic minor scale, we still have that A flat, making up the F minor chord. But if we just sharpen that A flat to an A, to get the F major chord, look at the scale we just got. It's our melodic minor scale. So kind of summing this up, what's the purpose of the harmonic minor scale? Is to have a minor tonality, but with a 5-to-1 resolution. And what's the purpose of our melodic minor scale? It's to have a minor tonality, but to have a major 4 chord, a major 5 chord, but still being in a minor tonality. And again, let me show you that F major to C minor. playing the melodic minor scale. That's the purpose of these scales. And now answering the question, when are you supposed to use these scales? Well, pretty much when you have this chord progression. You can use either your C harmonic minor scale, or you can even use your C melodic minor scale. Or maybe when you have this sort of chord progression. Again, you can use your C melodic minor scale. And consequentially, whichever other chord progressions you have in these scales, for instance, I don't know, something like this. You can also use your C melodic minor scale. That's kind of the basic explanation to this all. Again, there are tons of things you can do with these scales, but if I bring that to this video is going to turn out huge. So if you want to learn more about these sorts of things, perhaps leave a comment in the comment section below. And yeah, let's get to the outro. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope this video was helpful to you in any way possible. And if it was, please leave me a comment below. Do you have anything to add to this discussion? Did you agree? Did you not agree? Was there something I missed? Something I should have said? Also, if you have any suggestions for videos, I have this dedicated series called Yate, You Ask I Teach, and yes, it's a very self-explanatory title, but as the name implies, I teach anything you guys leave in the comment section below. So if you'd like to get a shout out, and or you'd like to get your question answered, please leave it in the comment section below with the hashtag Yate. And as always, I'm giving away free one-on-one Skype lessons, and anyone can enter, but there are limited those, so you gotta be fast. And all you have to do to win one free Skype lesson, and this comes on future lessons, is to subscribe to my channel, turn on all the notifications, follow me on Instagram, and then DM me either on Instagram or on my other social medias if you want to follow those too, with screenshots, proving that you did everything mentioned before. Oh, and I'd highly suggest you check out some of my other videos after this one. I have some other videos talking about music theory, like for instance, why your modes don't really sound like modes, and even some more instructional kind of stuff, like how to apply any scale you want. And a bunch of other videos and topics, like for instance, the lick that every pro seems to play. All of those videos will be on the card section right there, on the annotations of the end screen in just a couple of seconds, so please stay tuned, and in the description below. And yeah, I guess that's it. Again, thank you so very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, turn on all the notifications, perhaps apply for those Skype lesson thingies. Please check out some of my other videos after this one. I'd highly appreciate if you guys could leave a comment for my Yate series, and yeah, cheers!